Joe Biden is preparing for a run, obviously, against Donald Trump. He doesn't appear to be waiting for what's going to happen between him and Nikki Haley. But CNN laid out today what Joe Biden plans on doing for the upcoming election. And take a listen. Just if you listen really closely, you can hear the reporter towards the end on how Joe Biden plans on approaching this upcoming election. Listen carefully.
Brianna, what we've learned is that President Biden himself personally instructed some of his top campaign aides to be even more aggressive in highlighting some of President Trump's more inflammatory and wild comments. We are told that the thrust of the president's direction was to significantly ramp up the campaign's efforts to highlight the crazy shit that Trump says in public.
You heard it, right? This is what our news is coming on to now.
I mean, you know what's hilarious? I don't know if you watch Morning Joe, but I think maybe 3 times a week he calls the Republicans bullshit. Like he says bullshit every morning. I'm like, what the? And like Mika just looks. She used to like, say under her breath, Joe.
Yeah.
She doesn't even say it anymore. She just lets him go.
Now it's commonplace because it is. It's just, now we have our news turning into a certain style of professional wrestling and stuff like this. She just say, usually they would say crazy, and he used the word S. She just went right through it and said, she's done with the fucking crazy shit. I can't wait till they say fucking crazy shit one day.
Me either. I want Joe Biden to throw that F-bomb so bad. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So every week we are told how bad we have to worry about Donald Trump winning because the polls show that he's clearly going to win. Every week I'm told that in every battleground state, Donald Trump is winning. I saw an article in the New York Times, the same article that you get every 4 years about these undecided voters are leaning towards Trump. I've said this, Lana and I have talked about this before. If you are an undecided voter at this point, maybe you should just skip the process altogether. My guess is that they probably are going to, the ones that say they're voting for Trump or Biden. If you are an undecided voter in this climate, in this day and age, then this process is not for you. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still undecided? Like, how?
You know what? I almost, in a way, would like to invite a couple of undecided voters on here and just ask them, explain to me the issues between the two and why you think Trump might be a person that you would vote for and why Biden would be a person you vote for, or why you wouldn't vote for the other one. I mean, because I want to hear what they have to say. Oh, I kind of take that back. I don't, because it'll drive me nuts, but I'm just curious. I'm really, really curious to hear what that is. It's funny. I was going to bring up earlier, real quick, the comments I tell you we get on our YouTube clips. Yeah. So every time it's an anti-Trump comment clip, it is loaded with comments,
of course,
that are cursing, threatening, vile, just whatever. And I don't even understand half the shit they're saying. I mean, it is just angry, all caps, all that shit. I did the one about Jon Stewart last week, and we did the clip there, and it was more progressives and Democrats. So on YouTube, they give a section that says comments, and then it says for review. I have to click on for review to see these comments because those are the vile ones. Right. Every time it's a Trump clip, it's loaded with vile, awful clips. But on this clip that I did with progressives, Democrat, not one did I have to look on the for review tab.
Hillary was right. Hillary said they were deplorable. She never lied.
Yep. It is. They might, and some of them disagreed with what you and I had to say, which is perfectly fine, but they did it in a manner that was coherent. It had punctuation. It had, proper grammar. It was just, and it made a point, rather than fuck you, you guys suck. And half the other side doesn't even matter what they said, but that's what you get on the comment section. It's actually a lot of fun. So going back to, whether or not we should worry, what's the worry here? Here's a report that was done recently on the donations that the Biden administration has been getting.
President Biden's re-election campaign announced it raised $42 million last month. The campaign says January's numbers were fueled by a seven-figure haul from small dollar donors following former President Trump's victory in the Iowa Republican caucuses. Biden and the Democratic National Committee now have $130 million in their political war chest, the highest total of any Democratic presidential candidate in history.
What does that say to you? Those are real numbers. Forget about the poll numbers. Forget about the undecided voters that they keep talking to. What does that number say to you as somebody who follows politics and has been following it for quite some time? What does that say to you?
The people are tapped in and forget about those polls, because that's crazy. And they also said that a lot of that money was made up of small donations.
Correct.
So it wasn't all big, donations coming in. It was small donations. So yeah, people are paying attention.
And the other side's out of money. They don't even, this is the lowest amount I believe that I heard, and I may not be right about that, so don't quote me. But if it's not the lowest, it's one of the lowest amounts that a Republican candidate, even though it's not official on who the candidate is, they know who it is. In fact, the RNC was basically coming up with plans just to name Donald Trump the candidate regardless, and they didn't give a shit. I think maybe so they can get on with fundraising a little bit more. But anybody fundraising for the RNC, no Trump voter is waiting to donate their money because they're afraid Nikki Haley might still win.
Correct.
So that's a big deal that nobody talks about, that there's legitimate numbers on money from small donations, that this is the highest that a Democratic candidate has taken in ever.
Right.
That should be the story.
Right. And oh my God, I cannot wait to see what they do with this money, because they should be running commercial after commercial after commercial on Donald Trump and in Donald Trump territory, for real. Yep. I mean, it's crazy. What's going to kill them in donations anyway is that they are, one, his base is minimal. He's not gaining base. But the other thing is, like, they're pulling them in so many directions with so many grifts, right? Like, are they going to donate to the RNC, or are they buying his stupid sneakers or buying his stupid perfume? Like, what are they, or they're in whatever cards, like, or a piece of his suit? Like, where are these people? Like, where is their money? Is everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, the problem is the donations that they're going to get from this point. I mean, you're going to have still the MAGA people who will, decide whether or not they should buy the loaf of bread, or they should give that $5 or $2 or $3 to Donald Trump. You're still going to have those people give that money to Donald Trump. But a lot of their money is going to come from these ultra rich weirdos. There's a gentleman name, I don't know if you're familiar, if you've been in sales, especially in the auto industry, you'll know a guy named Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is one of these snake oil salesmen who go around with, I'm going to teach you how to sell kind of things. And he's made a very, very handsome living doing that. He's one of these guys, his own private jet kind of thing. And so he's done very well for himself in that respect. Well, he started a GoFundMe page for Donald Trump when he lost the case in New York. Right. And GoFundMe initially took it down because it went against their rules. But apparently the guy who runs GoFundMe is a Trump guy and somehow found that did not break the rules. So the GoFundMe is back up. I don't know where it's at right now as far as donations, but that to me is pathetic and sad.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
A billionaire has a GoFundMe.
It's and the fact that people don't say that, where somebody doesn't step back and go, wait a minute, something's wrong here. It kind of reminds me during 9/11, these people got to the hijackers, right? And said, if you do this, you're going to be a hero. You're going to be the greatest. You're going to do all this and you're going to be, and they bought into it. I wonder if there was one guy that goes, well, if this is so great, then why the fuck are you not doing it? It's just like, you're being suckered into doing something so they don't have to.
Right.
It's just amazing to me that we have grown adults.
Yeah. They would sell their firstborn kid if it would help Donald Trump.
Yeah. They probably can't stand their firstborn kid anyway. Now, on the Republican side, we looked at some of the pauses from the Democrats. There's some concern on the Republican side. There's going to be a big deal on what happens in the House race coming up, and the Republicans are barely holding on to the House that they should have statistically and historically run away with in the last election, but they did not do that. They barely won it. And because of people like George Santos, and there was one or two others, the gap has gotten shorter and shorter. But this is a small report on the Republican concern about the House race coming up.
Republicans that are not coming back to Congress after this term, including Mike Green. He's the chair of the Homeland Security Committee, and Cathy McMorris Rodgers. She's the chair of Energy and Commerce. The veteran lawmakers are among nearly a dozen Republicans leaving the chamber. The exits follow a historic year of dysfunction, including the ouster of then House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and the failure of a landmark border bill that would have provided billions in aid to Ukraine and Israel that Speaker Johnson refused to take up. CNN's Melanie Zanona has details on this story. So, Melanie, what are you hearing from House Republicans who've decided that their time on Capitol Hill is up?
We were reporting this story is that there is a deep level of frustration with just how dysfunctional this House majority has been this session of Congress, from all of the chaotic speaker drama to even just their struggle to pass basic procedural votes on the House floor. Just take a look at what some members told us on the record. Ken Buck, he's one of those retiring members, said, we're not doing serious things. Carlos Jimenez, who was an ally of Kevin McCarthy, told us, I thought that some of our members would be smarter. And Steve Womack, a veteran lawmaker, said, we are fractured. And it's not just the number of Republicans who are retiring. It is really the caliber of the members who are retiring. There are 5 committee chairs alone who are deciding to call it quits.
And that's obviously a concern for Republicans. It's also sort of a concern that if these are in heavy Republican districts, that these very capable people are going to be replaced by a Marjorie Taylor Greene or maybe even worse. So, but that the fact, again, Lana and I have talked about this before, when there are witnesses in every one of these Donald Trump cases, almost all of them are people that work for Donald Trump, who are close to Donald Trump. These are Republicans making the comments about their own governing body, that they are not a serious party, that they look at this and go, this is so below me that I cannot be part of this anymore. And I would imagine there's a time when they were so proud when you won your race, and now you are representing your constituents and you're representing the United States of America. And now they clearly are no longer proud to be in the position they are because of the clown show that is being hired into their party. That's another story nobody's talking about. They're just talking about the difference of Joe Biden's age versus Donald Trump, who wants to be an authoritarian, and that they've got people in their own party saying we're not a serious party anymore.
And that's crazy, because they're seeing what we don't see, and we see a clown show. So imagine how much worse it is behind closed
Right.
doors.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
especially to make these people retire. That's a lot of people. That's
Yeah.
crazy. They're just like, I
They
give
served
up.
on committee boards, these people.
Yeah.
These are not, these are not the, well, I'm Marjorie Taylor Greene's
Well,
on.
what's frustrating about it is that they know that what's happening and they won't call it out. Like they prefer to run from it than to call it out.
Yeah, I mean, you had somebody like Adam Kinzinger, who he would call it out, but he saw the writing on the wall. He's kind of like, I'm not MAGA, and I'm not going to be part of this anymore. So he retired from Congress, and he probably had a long career ahead of him if he had, been in a normal sort of Congress. But he saw the handwriting on the wall, and you're right. I mean, you could try to call it out, but I mean, Lana, maybe other than just doing your patriotic duty and calling it out, they probably should, especially now if they're retiring, why wouldn't you? But to do it while you're in there and you're hoping to get reelected, it may be difficult for people to do. And
yeah, that's kind of crazy though.
Yeah.
It's just, you're just a coward, and you just, part of it is they want the power too. So like, not only are they cowards, they're just like, oh, if this can get me ahead, then hey, because that's crazy. If you're a coward and you don't care about getting ahead, you retire.
Yeah.
But if you're a coward and you're also a greedy motherfucker, then you stay. You just
Yeah, I mean, there are some that call it, like that guy Chip Roy, who's far right. He must feel pretty comfortable in his district because he calls it, he's on the House floor going, what have we done? Name one, literally, he's out there screaming, name one thing the Republicans done that I can take back to my constituents and say we did something.
Now they can't even impeach Biden because their fake witness admitted he lied. Like, so just a big nothing. They suck.
Well, I think that that Mayorkas is in big trouble because you saw who's heading up his impeachment, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
No, he's not in big trouble.
Oh, trust me, I know. That was about as
that's
sarcastic
hilarious. She's gonna go there. She's gonna put her glasses on and act like she knows what she's talking about, and they're just gonna like trample all over it. She's so stupid.
It's unbelievable. There's another concern too. John Kasich, the former governor of Ohio, he had something to say about something that was an automatic Trump voter at one point, but he sees and has talked to some people that Donald Trump may want to take a look at and be concerned about.
Evangelical voters are beginning to debate and question their support of Trump. There is a definite split among that community. I can tell you that in the state of Michigan, he is now being hurt and trails Biden because of the fact that the evangelical community is saying, we don't think this is our guy. I don't know whether he can shore that up again. I don't know if this has been said on the air before, but the information that I have from a very well-respected pollster is the evangelical voters are saying, some of them are saying enough is enough. It'll be interesting to see where this develops because without them, he's got a real problem.
Yeah, I think he's got a problem with them, but without them, as he said, that's a real problem.
Well, the evangelicals must be going to split because I'm pretty sure there's a hell of a lot of them that still support him.
Oh, there's no question about it. But, the thing is that one thing Donald Trump cannot afford, he cannot afford to lose voters who voted for him. He absolutely cannot afford that. Joe Biden beat him by 7-8 million votes. So he could probably afford to lose a little bit of voters, and he's going to lose voters. There's no question about it. But Donald Trump can't afford to lose anybody.
Right.
Because he's not gaining voters. You made that point before. Right. He's not going to gain any voters.
None.
Yeah.
None.
So there's that.